Leo Carlsson playing like the player that we were hoping for. He's leading the way right now, and he's still not even 20 years old. And the Ducks finally got a win. We'll talk about that and more on this edition of Locked On Anaheim Ducks.
You're Locked On Ducks, your daily podcast on the Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jason J.D. Hernandez. I've been covering hockey for well over a decade. And today's episode is brought to you by Sleeper. Download the Sleeper app and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's term of use for details. I've been covering hockey for over a decade, as I mentioned. I'm currently the PA announcer for the Coachella Valley Firebirds, among other teams. I'll leave it at that. Just a reminder, this podcast is free and available across all platforms, including YouTube, ad-free on Amazon, so check us out there. All right, let's talk about Leo Carlsson first. The reason I want to start off talking about Leo Carlsson is because he had himself a performance Friday night. So since we last talked, the Ducks had two games, one on Friday night and one that just happened. So we'll talk about those games later. But first, my big picture is Leo Carlsson. He is playing like someone that we thought was going to be a top 3 pick, and he is showing his stuff early on. Friday's game against the Flyers, he had a hat trick. He had a hat trick at such a young age against Philadelphia Flyers. Add an assist to that, and that is 4 points in the last 2 games. With that looks pretty good. Now, granted, Leo Carlsson was the 2nd overall pick. At the time, some people thought, oh, it should be Adam Fantilli. It should be Fantilli number 2, not Leo Carlsson. Why did they choose Leo Carlsson? Okay, look, I'm going to stop you right freaking there. I had no problem with Leo Carlsson. I would have been happy with either Fantilli or Carlsson, okay? Let me make that perfectly clear. Carlsson is a fine choice in that number 3 pick. Right now, Leo Carlsson has 8 points in 10 games, half of them coming in the last 3 nights. In 10 games, he's got 6 goals. 6 goals and 2 apples for 8 points. Looking pretty solid so far. And just to kind of compare, because I so want to compare here, Adam Fantilli. Okay, what has Adam Fantilli done so far this season? In Columbus so far, 15 games, he's got 9 points. Yeah, that's 5 more games that he's played, and he's only got 9 points. I think so far Leo Carlsson has had the better season. I mean, Adam Fantilli, has he had a hat trick this season? No. Has he done well this weekend? Yes, I can see the argument because Fantilli did have a goal in each of his games this past weekend. So I could still see the argument for Adam Fantilli. I get it. Whatever. But God, don't put disrespect on Leo Carlsson's name. Don't you dare do that. Again, 6 goals. He's amongst one of the leaders in rookies so far this season. I mean, the only rookie that has had better highlight reel goals is Connor Bedard. I'm sure you guys saw the Connor Bedard highlight reel goal against... I even saw this one. Connor Bedard had a filthy goal against the Florida Panthers. That was cool. But Leo Carlsson, with a hat trick, one of the youngest to ever do it in a Ducks uniform. Leo Carlsson is a goal scorer, and he is still one of the best skaters out there. In fact, out of almost everyone in the draft, I think Connor Bedard and Leo Carlsson in terms of skating are right there. And Leo Carlsson, I think, has just as good of a hockey IQ than Connor Bedard. Connor Bedard, slightly faster, I'll give him that. But Leo Carlsson is learning the game so fast. And he has picked up on Coach Cronin's schemes very quickly. And you could even see it in the last 4 or 5 games. You could see the improvement that Carlsson is making. He's getting to pucks more efficiently. He's taking better shots. He's having a better shot selection. He's even looking for the perfect pass once in a while, which I appreciate. I appreciate that Leo Carlsson is looking for the perfect pass at times, which I know can be frustrating. You know, oh, you're overpassing, you're looking for the perfect pass. You're waiting. Okay, I get that too. But I look at the improvement just over the past couple of weeks. And this is where I talk about the hockey IQ a lot. If you look at the last few games, I mentioned the battles. Even the 50-50s has gotten better with Leo Carlsson. I think he's come along a little bit faster than even I anticipated. And I think that's nothing but a good thing for the Anaheim Ducks in the long run. Is you want someone that's going to have that intelligence, that is going to learn with the team. And with a new coach like Greg Cronin, I mean, Leo Carlsson never, thank God, never had to learn from any of the old schemes from previous coach Dallas Eakins. It's a fresh start for Cronin. It's a fresh start for Leo Carlsson. And this benefits him greatly. Because while there are some players on the Ducks that might revert to old ways once in a while, Leo Carlsson right now is thriving on this Ducks team, and one of the team leaders, not exactly the team leader, but one of the team leaders so far for the Anaheim Ducks. And he's not even on the best line right now. I mean, there's one line that has been way better so far this season. And I think I'll bring that up in the third segment, actually, because I do want to talk about that a little bit, is how good that second line has been for the Ducks so far this season. But once again, I will sing the praises of Leo Carlsson, and you know where I'm going with this. Young Leo Carlsson doing his thing with the Ducks. So you know what I say to that? You know what I say to everyone's like, oh, what about the old guys? You know what? Let the kids play. Oh, God, they heard that. Let the kids play. I will say that a million times this season and mean it every single time, because I love watching them play so much, and y'all should enjoy this too. Will the Ducks make the playoffs this year? Probably not. But enjoy the inception of this young core for the Anaheim Ducks. I cannot wait to see how they all grow together. And when I talked about, leading scorers for the Ducks, I mean, Leo Carlsson, as I mentioned, 6 goals. That's really good. He's second in the team in goals. Well, tied for second. 2 of them are on that second line. I'll get to that later. But for now, we're going to head into the first intermission. I'll talk about the last 2 games in detail, and then I'll talk about that second line a little bit later. We'll get to all of that on the other side. But first, a word from eBay Motors. Passion, drive, patience underlined, folks, if you're a Ducks fan. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, like a Leo Carlsson. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more, whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easier to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that W. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Welcome back to Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. You're locked in with Jason J.D. Hernandez on this episode number 780 of Locked On Anaheim Ducks. My, oh my, 780 times. Let's talk about the last two games that took place. We will start with Friday night's game against the Philadelphia Flyers, which wasn't so good for the Ducks, but good for Leo, the Hattie. Once again, Leo Carlsson, I'm going to repeat this. He's 18 years old. Leo Carlsson is only 18, and he's already getting hat tricks. Man, that kid is good. The young Swede is showing his stuff already, and y'all should love it. I love it. Yes, that last one kind of came in garbage time, but I don't care. I don't care that it came in garbage time because it's still important for the fans. It's important for the team. It's important for, chemistry. It's important to bring the young kid up because you could see how freaking excited he was after that game. I mean, I know myself watching it, I was excited to see that happen for the young kid. I'm proud of Leo Carlsson, and you should be too. This is only the first sign of things to come. This will be the first hat trick of many. Yes, again, it came late, but who cares? It's still fine. I mean, Leo Carlsson got his first goal in the second period. All right, fine. Nice little shot. Nice little snapshot. I did like the wrister at the end, though. I mean, yes, his second goal came late when they were already down by 3 goals. And the hat trick came when they were down by 3 goals again with like a minute and change left on the power play. But I don't care. I love the shot. I love the pass from Troy Terry, by the way. Leo Carlsson, again, one of the few players to get a hat trick at 18 years old, folks. 18 years old. He's getting hat tricks already. Dude. It's so fun to see. Oh, yeah, and Owen Tippett scored a couple of goals, too, and the Flyers did win 6-3. So, yeah, I get it. I mean, yes, it's garbage time. I get it. Dostal didn't have the best game. Okay, I get that, too. He did let in a softie, but, hey, I'm still happy for Carlsson, and I think the reason that I wasn't too upset about that game is because the Ducks never gave up. And in the overall scope of things, their team play has gotten better this season than last season. So take the little victories where you can. And then Sunday night, and I actually watched this right before recording. I watched maybe 20 minutes of what mattered. And the Ducks did get a big win against the San Jose Sharks. Yes, the Sharks are terrible. They're the worst team in the league. But a win is a win. I think I would have felt worse if the Ducks wound up getting clobbered by the Sharks. I would have felt worse if the Sharks won and they hadn't won a game previously. Maybe the Sharks won those couple of games. They're like, yeah, okay, we're good. We're good. We won 2 games. We're not super sucky anymore. Yeah, we're fine. We don't need to win anymore. We could tank for the number 1 pick because tanking always works, right? You always get the number 1 pick when you have the worst record, right? Right? Yeah, always works. Anyway, Ducks beat the Sharks 4-1 in front of a decent crowd. It looked like a decent crowd at the Honda Center for Legacy Night. So, yeah, that part was cool, I guess. Frank Vetrano. Mr. Italiano, Frank Vetrano scored a pair of goals. Looked good doing it, by the way. And one of my main men, Mason McTavish, scored another one. That line, again, looked impressive all night long. That's been the line that's carried this Ducks team. And they've had to carry this Ducks team because there has been no Trevor Zegras. And I will talk about the Zegras thing more in the third segment, but just wanted to quickly go over the games. Vetrano scored twice, McTavish scored, and Radko Gudas finally got his second goal of the season, which looked like just a hard shot. So there you go. 1 win, finally broke that little 2-game losing streak. The Sharks are terrible. They're just bad. Mackenzie Blackwood is just a guy. He's a goalie. He's trying. Look, I know he looked dejected towards the end, and that just sucks. But, you know, who's good on that Sharks roster? There's not a whole lot to that Sharks roster at all. I don't know what to make of it still. Sorry, JD from Locked On Sharks, but, you know, this is going to be a painful year for y'all. I'm sorry. Dead last. But hey, you could think about that top 3 pick. Yeah, surely you're going to win that number 1 pick, right? Yeah, look what happened to the Ducks. But I will take the 4-1 victory. I think all Ducks fans will take the 4-1 victory. With that win, the Ducks now improve to a record of 8-6-0, 16 points. And guess what? As of right now, 14 games in, we're like a sixth of a way through the season. Hey, you know what? I can make fun all I want. We're only a sixth through the season, but as of right now, the Ducks are in a playoff spot. Let me repeat that. As of right now, the Ducks are in the playoffs. If the season ended right now, they would have a wild card spot, and they'd wind up playing the Dallas Stars. Well, you know, I'll take that right now. I will take the good start. It's fine. The Ducks are okay right now. All right, we're going to head into the second intermission. I will talk more about that second line, briefly talk about Trevor Zegras and why that second line has been so important and why they're going to be doubly important moving forward. Stay locked in. And now, a word from Sleeper. A new NHL season brings all sorts of possibilities. Maybe Leo Carlsson or Frank Vetrano or Stromer could score 50 goals. Maybe the Ducks could make the playoffs at the end of the season. Woo! And you could win big by playing Daily Fantasy Hockey on Sleeper, the official Daily Fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. I can read, folks. Sleeper is our number 1 choice for daily fantasy sports, and especially daily fantasy hockey, because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests, where one of the guys from that second line, Strome, Vetrano, McTavish, they could win you 100 times money this week. All you have to do is pick whether guys like the 3 I mentioned will record more or less than their Sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, plus, minus, and more in a given game. If you put money on those 3 guys in the last game against the Sharks, you would have won big. And to win 100 times bet on Sleeper, correctly predict the outcome of 8-player stats. You heard me, Ducks fans. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms for use, details, and locational availability. Welcome back to Locked On Anaheim Ducks. Yeah! They beat the Sharks. We're part of Locked On Podcast Network. This team has me loopy all year long. This team has had me loopy for the past 5 years. It is cool covering this team, and I love watching the kids play. I especially love watching Z when he's healthy. And this is where it ties together. So the Zegras second line does tie together because it was reported that Trevor Zegras is going to be out for a little bit with he's banged up right now. That's pretty much what's going on with Zegras. He is banged up as they're getting ready to switch over here. So let me read you the tweet, and this was over the weekend. This is from Derek Lee. Trevor Zegras has a lower body issue, quote, that's been bugging him for a while, so he just needs to get some rest, end quote. That according to Coach Greg Cronin. Okay, so, you know, maybe him being banged up might explain why he's been A, off to a bad start, and B, not as aggressive as he used to be. Remember when Zegras would look for the shots at certain times? Remember when Z would kind of go into the zone fast? Now that I think about it, he hasn't been skating as fast as he used to. So maybe there's something more to this. And, when you say lower body issue, that could mean anything from a heel to a foot to a leg to maybe a pulled muscle. Whatever the case may be, Z is the kind of player that you want at 100%. That there's no question about it. You want I shouldn't say your star player, one of your star players. I don't think Zegras is the star of the team, especially now. He's one of the stars of the team. And I think the way that he manages this injury is going to be mightily important. But speaking of mighty, that line for the Ducks has been super mighty for the Ducks. Hey, look what I did there. I'm, of course, talking about the three-headed monster of Vatrano, McTavish, and Strome. It was smart not to break up that line against the Sharks. That line has been incredible. Yes, Killorn is back. He's up with Carlsson and Terry. That line is fine. But the Vatrano, McTavish, Strome line has been out of this world for the Anaheim Ducks. This season, Frank Vatrano is leading the team in goals. So right now, Frank Vatrano leading the Ducks with 9 goals this season. Mason McTavish leading the team in points with 14 points. Strome is leading the team in assists with 10 assists. So between those 3 guys, you have your team leaders in goals, assists, points from 3 different guys, which shows you, A, how well they gel together, and also, next point, that it's interchangeable. It could be any one of those guys that can wreck your night. And even another point, that trio has become so attuned to where each other is on the ice. I mean, don't tell me you haven't noticed that there are perfect passes from Vatrano, McTavish and Ryan Strome, especially across the Royal Road. That, I think, has been the most important thing, is they're making the best passes, they're making the effective passes, and they're leading directly to goals. Look, between those 3 players, they have a total of 38 points. 38 points on that line. No other line has more than 25 points put together. And those 3 have almost 40. Between those guys, they have 17 goals. That is almost half of the entire team's goals so far. But they need to be good. Especially if Zegras is going to be out for an extended period of time, then you need that line to be good. And as long as they continue to put up points and as long as they continue to get wins, then it gives them hope. It gives them some kind of hope, but also some kind of valuable experience moving forward. Because you want those 3 guys to be long-term, and you want them to mesh long-term together. Yes, opposing teams could worry about Troy Terry. They could worry about Trevor Zegras. They could worry about Leo Carlsson. All that. But maybe other teams are still overlooking McTavish, Strome, Vatrano a little bit when they probably shouldn't. They probably shouldn't, folks. So, yeah. They're going to be vitally important coming up in the next few games. And speaking of those next few games, upcoming schedule for the Ducks, this is going to be kind of a weird stretch because they've got a quick 2-game road trip at Nashville and at Colorado. The Nashville game on Tuesday, the Colorado game on Wednesday. Nashville game, 5 o'clock puck drop. Colorado, 6 o'clock puck drop, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then Friday, they face the Florida Panthers, who have been up and down so far this season. So this is kind of an interesting week for the Ducks. We'll see how this week goes. All right, that's going to do it for this particular podcast. I think I'm going to come back with another podcast later tonight, so be on the lookout for that. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for listening. Don't forget this podcast as they're getting ready back there. Can you hear it? This podcast is free and available across all platforms, including Stitcher, Spotify, Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, etc., etc. You can email me at lockedonanaheimducks@gmail.com. The Twitter is at StimpyJD, for those of you that still call it Twitter. The X account, or formerly known as Twitter, for the show is at LO_Ducks. And once again, thanks for your continued support. It is so greatly appreciated. And to all the fans, just thanks for the continued support. You guys are awesome. You guys are fantastic. Love y'all. Love y'all. For Locked On Anaheim Ducks, I'm Jason J.D. Hernandez, saying have a great rest of the afternoon. Please remember to be safe out there. Be kind to one another. And Ducks fly together.